TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Israel will not relent in its resolve to achieve its war objectives as it enters into the 600th day of conflict versus the Islamist Hamas since the atrocities it committed on October 7th of 2023. U.S. President Donald Trump says nuclear talks with Iran are going well despite reported major gaps. Iran threatens to hold the U.S. responsible for any Israeli strike on its nuclear installations. Israel will not relent in its resolve to achieve its war objectives as it enters into the 600th day of conflict since the Islamist Hamas launched its atrocities against the people of Israel on October 7th of 2023. During an address at a state ceremony commemorating the Six-Day War and the reunification of Israel's capital, Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu highlighted that the baton for the defense of the State of Israel passes on from generation to generation, and that similar to the decisive victory which Israel had achieved during the Six-Day 1967 war, it will achieve a decisive victory in its war against Hamas today. Netanyahu continued by asserting that Jerusalem can never accept a withdrawal from territories that had granted Israel its defensible borders, which were achieved at the culmination of the 1967 multi-front war.
Our brilliant victory 58 years ago prevented massacres many times greater than the one that occurred on October 7th. It is hard to comprehend, but it was many times greater than the atrocities that occurred on October 7th. The attackers had premeditated plans to invade into the neighborhoods of West Jerusalem to annihilate everyone in their path. When the sword was placed on our necks, we stood up as one man, united and responded with war. Our force of life, just as it is happening today, proved to be a reality-changing factor. Thanks to it, we turned the tables and changed the reality in the Middle East. At the end of the Six-Day War, we found ourselves within borders that could be defended. Anyone who is deluded and is ready to casually give up these achievements is simply inviting further attacks on the citizens of Israel and Jerusalem on Highway 6, in the Sharon district, in the Dan region, in the south, in the north, everywhere. Because that is what we had achieved during the Six-Day War. We attained the defensive wall that prevents the occupation of our lands from the east, from our longest border, and potentially the most vulnerable border. Israel today is strong, with strong borders.
With regard to Jerusalem, the Israeli premier emphasized that the city, in contrast to empires that reigned over the territory, was exclusively the capital of the people of Israel since the old days of King David.
The partitions fell. The dead-end roads opened. Jerusalem was once again unified. The historical truth, which we've always appreciated, took on a new meaning. Jerusalem has always been the capital of the people of Israel, and the capital of the people of Israel alone. Foreign powers have had their reign here, some more and some less, but none of them granted Jerusalem the status of a capital. Only the Jewish people, who have been connected to Jerusalem for thousands of years, can be proud of being the capital of King David's kingdom and the city of the two temples. I recently heard that the head of the Palestinian Authority claims that the temples were actually located in Yemen. So I have news for him. Denying the truth no longer works. The temples stood in all of their glory here, a kilometer from here, on Mount Moriah.
While 5 IDF divisions are currently maneuvering throughout the Gaza Strip with escalating pressure on the Islamist Hamas reportedly gaining significant operational achievements, with hundreds of terror operatives eliminated, a number of European states, which have deepened collaborative efforts to pressure Jerusalem to halt its advance on Hamas, to include Spain, Slovenia, Norway, and Ireland, are desperately calling for an arms embargo on Israel.
Todos tenemos que poner en marcha un embargo de armas.
We all have to enforce a weapon embargo. We cannot sell weapons to Israel. The last thing that the Middle East needs right now is weapons, and we have to review the list of individual sanctions that we all have and also the European Union have, to make sure that we don't allow those who don't want the two-state solution that we all know that is the ultimate solution to achieve peace and stability in the Middle East, may succeed and make the Palestinian state non-viable.
Un Estado palestino sobre el terreno.
The remarks by the Spanish foreign minister are seemingly falling on deaf ears among nations that matter, since the countries that are imposing an arms embargo on Israel have been quite marginal when we're talking about weapon sales to the State of Israel. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, whose country is known to employ Islamist terror proxies against countries such as neighboring India, hosted Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, during the course of which the latter, whose own IRGC, have been waging the proxy war against Israel since October 7th of 2023, emphasized that Tehran and Islamabad were united in their support for the so-called Palestinian cause, a reference to Hamas's aspirations to annihilate the Jewish state.
Iran and Pakistan, as active members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, support the Palestinian cause and the defenseless people of Gaza. We strongly condemn the continuation of the Zionist regime's crimes in Gaza and the silence and support of Western countries.
The Pakistani Prime Minister, for his part, seized the opportunity to highlight Islamabad's support for Tehran's nuclear aspirations.
We fully support Iran's right to have, for civilian use, peaceful nuclear program.
It is important to know that earlier this week, U.S. President Donald Trump highlighted that he was hopeful about the diplomatic discourse with Iran in parallel to efforts to achieving breakthrough vis-à-vis the Gaza Strip.
Very importantly, we had some very good talks with Iran yesterday and today, and let's see what happens. But I think we could have some good news on the Iran front. Likewise with Hamas on Gaza. We want to see if we can stop that. And Israel, we've been talking to them, and we want to see if we can stop that whole situation as quickly as possible. But having to do with nuclear, we've had some very, very good talks with Iran, and I don't know if I'll be telling you anything good or bad over the next 2 days, but I have a feeling I might be telling you something good. We've had some real progress, serious progress.
President Trump went on to stress that while he doesn't know what may happen tomorrow, he regarded the talks with Iran as going very well.
I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. I can tell you the Iran talks have been going very well.
And you said you're unhappy.
I'd love that to happen because I'd love to see no bombs dropped and a lot of people dead. I really would like to see that happen.
In contrast to President Trump's assessment that nuclear negotiations were going well, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, insisted that the American president was in fact a liar. Moreover, while the Trump administration asserted zero enrichment as its red line, the Islamic Republic of Iran remains unwavering on its right to enrich uranium, irrespective of its potential military dimensions.
موضوع غنیسازی به عنوان بخش لاینفک
The issue of enrichment as an inseparable part of the peaceful energy and nuclear industry of the Islamic Republic of Iran must be preserved, and we are not allowed to show the slightest leniency in this matter. And based on these proposals that are being put forward from various parties, including Oman, we'll definitely consider these bold red lines of ours.
Alongside Iran's continued rejection to forgo its enrichment program, the Ayatollah regime sent a document to the International Atomic Energy Agency in which it, quote, strongly warns against any adventurism on the part of the Zionist regime of Israel and shall respond decisively to any threat or unlawful act committed by this regime, per its letter. The threat further highlighted that Iran is of the firm conviction that in the event of any attack against Iran's nuclear facilities, it would hold the United States legally responsible and that Washington would be regarded as complicit. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please keep praying for the hostages who've endured now 599 days in Hamas captivity. Pray also for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.